Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 25 of the FPL Family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and this is our Game Week 16 preview video. We are both in exceptionally, I can't even say it, I'm that happy about Liverpool's 7, Spartak Moscow 0, and you should be very happy of course about
3-0.
Spurs 3, APOEL 0. Means we both top the group.
Groups,
so we're going to wait for the draw, which we've just heard is actually Monday night on BT at like 11:15, which is really, really random. We were looking at the draw a minute ago. Who can we get? So who do we not want to face? We can't face Paris or Real.
Well, they won
because
the groups
they won the groups, but we can face
On
Bayern or Juve or some other. So listen, last 16 in the Champions League, it's going to be difficult. Whatever happens, right? And if you're a Chelsea fan, it's either who? Real, Paris or Besiktas.
I'm hoping you get Real Madrid, really.
Listen, the way we're playing at the moment. Oh, I was just about to say I fancy us against Real, but I'm not going to say that. I'm too hyped up on the 7-0 that I've just seen against a pretty poor Moscow team. Suddenly we can beat Real Madrid. Who knows? I would fancy us against
You're
Real
in
Madrid.
Cloud 9, you are.
Cloud 9, yeah. I thought you were going to say Cloud Cuckoo Land. Either way.
Both, really.
Either way, some cloud. Good. All right.
We're going to start this week with the update on the league because we've
go on.
not done it for ages.
We always get to the end and forget, don't we?
Well, no, we did remember last week, didn't we? But the league wasn't up to date. So we're going to start with the two teams. We had two teams on 80 last game week, which I think is fantastic.
Nice.
So we just quick mention to them. So one of them's really easy for me to say because one of them's called Lean Rangers. Thank you for giving your team an easy name. So Lean Rangers with 80 had the likes of Simpson, Valencia, Salah, Hazard was captain, Calvert-Lewin, Morata and co. So decent. Right, the other team, Magdua T. I think.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Madagua. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
They also got 80 this week. So De Gea, Otamendi, Hazard captain again, Salah, Shaqiri, Silva. So quite different teams apart from the Hazard thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so kudos to you guys.
Top of the league at the moment. On a very pretty average 44 points from last game week. But actually, if you look at the top of our league, there is a few kind of average scores there. 39, 45.
Yeah, it's not until you get down to Vic. Or, with 78.
Vic climbing the league again on 78. Yeah. Jamal Rice at the top with 44. D-Boy with D-Boy United on 39 points for the game week. 928 total points. Good effort. And then Deshwell with Boys United, and Deshwell's been flirting with the top 1, 2, 3, isn't he, for some time. So looking as if it's heating up a bit. 9-6-3. Flipping heck, I've just noticed that. Look at the difference between Jamal's team and D-Boy's team.
Yeah, it's got like 40,
Jamal's
points,
on 9-6-3. That is some score, by the way. That is some score. So fair play, Jamal.
It's a good captain choice away from being caught, though.
That's
you look
it.
at Hazard with his 30.
It's all changing, right? Yeah, it's all changing. The captain choices are really proving good differentials, I think, in FPL.
Absolutely.
We saw that with Hazard. Getting your captain right or wrong, if you stick it on Kane and he blanks, is proving massive swings every week.
Dig at me?
Not at all. No, not at all. Because I really want to talk about Kane
Do you?
in this video because a lot to think about with Harry Kane, and we'll go through the fixtures as we normally do. But I think we do need to speak about Kane because I've still got him in my team. You have too, and I think I look at the next two fixtures and it just feels so wrong to get him out right now ahead of Stoke at home, who have got like one of the worst defences in the league, and then Brighton at home, I think it is, who are clearly better defensively.
Well, okay, so we should start at Wembley then, if you want to talk about Kane. Let's start there.
I was just going to have like Kane as a bit of a subject and speak about the game later, but we can do that. So what's your thinking around Kane? Clearly Spurs fans, so you presumably keeping him for the long haul, particularly. Now we've got this double game week coming up in game week 22. So what's your thoughts about it?
So the double game week obviously is a key influential for me. And I'm actually thinking, depending upon what happens with Kane over the next couple of weeks, I might even triple captain him in that game week.
I think that's going to be a popular tactic. Yeah,
they're fairly nice fixtures. It's Swansea away and West Ham at home. So actually, two decent fixtures to get on a double game week.
Swansea and West Ham both 20th and 19th in the league right now, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're both not great statistics. Yeah. Obviously West Ham have got time to turn it around now, but we'll see. Certainly, I think if Kane steps up to the mark, then the triple captain's armband will go on him for that.
And he needs to show a bit of form, I think.
I think so.
Spurs in particular are a bit out of form right now.
Absolutely, and I think tonight he's had a nice rest. He didn't play tonight, along with half the Spurs team actually. I think I said it last week, and the more I think about it, the more I think it's right. You know, you look at the statistics behind Kane, you look at the attempts on target, you look at his movement, his engagement with the game. He's up there with what he's normally doing. It's just that he's not really been having the service and the support that he needs to score the goals. For me, that's a problem because it's coming out of the defence rather than the midfield. There's just we're not connecting quickly enough moving up the pitch.
So you're keeping him from now until 22 and after he's in your team. He's a fixture.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I've got a slightly different take on it. I get some. I don't know. I just get some comfort in owning Kane because I know I've got a nice. I know I can put the armband on him and feel comfortable that he's got the armband, and he's almost like we've said this before, like reassuringly expensive. He's a bit like the John Lewis, isn't he, of FPL? I was just going to say, for our foreign viewers that don't know what John Lewis is, but I'm assuming Google John Lewis and you guys that are in Canada or anywhere else, you might know, big department store in the UK, whatever. God, blimey, that was a tangent. So, Kane, keep for now, I think. Keep for the next two.
Well, look, if you look at that Stoke-Spurs game, the last 3 matches in the Premier League we played against Stoke, we've won 4-0. So
So I'm not talking about getting him out for the next 2, but then if you look at the games after that, Man City away, Burnley away, Southampton home, which is, that's the one where you might want him, but then you look around the rest of the fixtures, there's some really nice fixtures throughout the rest of that game week. So after Stoke and Brighton, what game week is that? 18. So do you want him for Man City away and Burnley away? The Southampton again, then it's a blank, the 21 is a blank. And then I think you have a plan to get him in again for 22 in the double game week and potentially a triple captain. I get you on that one. But for those 4 game weeks, City, Burnley, Southampton, blank, I don't think I want him.
Right, we'll see what happens against Stoke because I think what you'll find
I'm saying keep him for Stoke and keep him for Brighton.
But my response to you would be, look at what's happened with Firmino. Dropped in value last week ahead of the game, scores a couple of goals, gone straight back up in value again. And for me, this Kane thing, he's only got to score 2 goals against Stoke and we'll suddenly see an influx of him back into teams again.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think a lot of it depends on if you're going to sell Kane, what are you then going to do with that money? That's the key bit. Because if you think about...
Well, if you're going to redistribute it and you can't afford to get him back for the double game week, I think that's a problem.
It is, but I suppose it depends kind of how you distribute it. And I think as long as you've got a plan to get him back. So I'm looking at that little batch of fixtures there, that 4 game weeks. I'm thinking of those 4 game weeks, am I going to captain him at Man City? No, probably not. Am I going to captain him away at Burnley? I think Burnley away is a difficult game for anybody.
But then you've got Hazard and Morata anyway, so you don't need to.
There's definitely other captain choices, and in those game weeks, we'll get when we do videos for those game weeks. I don't think we'll be talking about Kane as the key captain choice in those game weeks.
No.
Southampton at home, all right. I'm a bit worried about that. The blank, clearly it's a blank. And then you get the plan to get the double back. But that batch of 4 games, if you take the money out of Kane and go to a Calvert-Lewin or somebody, you can get a Sanchez if you're thinking about Arsenal differentials. And I know the thought of you taking out Kane for a Sanchez is almost gross misconduct, isn't it, in FPL terms? But
my point still stands, isn't it? So you're going to take them out to put them back in again 2 game weeks later. So you're going to be spending points to make 2 transfers. That means that Kane's got to do... If he scores a goal, then you've had it.
Okay. So listen. So I think as long as you plan ahead and you have have a couple of transfers ready to get him back in on that 22, I think that's what I'll be doing. It feels really wrong to get rid of him before the next 2.
Can't wait to laugh when he scores against Man City. I can't wait to laugh at you.
And I'm thinking it could be the opportunity to go a bit differential as well, because you could do a Kane to a Lacazette, or you could do a Kane to a Jesus if you haven't got him, and maybe upgrade to a Ramsey in the middle.
Cannot wait for these games where you've not got him.
So listen, I think
the best fan to those games.
I think we could easily do a whole video on what you're going to do with Kane over the next 2 weeks. I think it's a big talking point on Twitter right now. It's the FPL community is really split, I think, in terms of what they want to do with Kane. You're clearly holding, which I hope works out for you. I think
you don't. You hope it backfires.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is a common misconception that we have on these videos where people have been saying to me on Twitter, you were when you have a poor game week, they're like, you sounded really upset that Sam had a bad game week. I'm like, genuinely I am. Genuinely I am.
He's not.
Maybe I'm not coming across as genuine enough in these videos.
Upset. He loves it. Loves it when I have a bad game.
Oh dear me! Oh goodness me! 10 minutes of waffle already. Right. So Kane, let's park it there.
Just to finish off with the Stoke and the Spurs game as a whole.
Are you going to captain him then? You're captaining Kane this game week.
Yes.
Clearly you are.
Yeah, okay. I am. I think I would expect to see. I'd expect to see a better performance from Spurs against Stoke off the back of the Champions League victory again. Although we don't often play very well on the back of a Champions League performance. Having said that, tonight we've had rest for Lloris, Kane, Trippier, Davis, Eriksen, Dyer. Basically, most of the first teams had a rest tonight.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect the Champions League hangover that we've seen over the last few fixtures.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Okay.
So I'm not too worried about that. You know, the fact that we often play badly after a Champions League game because these guys haven't played.
And Stoke, I mean,
Stoke, I am worried about though because I think Stoke will score. You know, they've got the likes of Shaqiri and Juve who have been fairly prolific recently.
You can score past them though. Their defence is not good.
We can score past them, but they can certainly score past us the way our defence has been lately.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it's got potential to be a good game. I do think we'll hope. Well, I'll say it now. Look, I've even got my lucky mug back because I've not used it for the last 2 game weeks and we've done badly.
This is why Spurs have hit a downturn in form.
Yeah, because you've been making my tea not in this mug in our vlogs, and I've noticed that since then we've gone downhill. So the mug's back. And actually, we've been playing well since I've had my Mickey Mouse mug, so maybe I'll keep on that. Well, you can keep that, and I'll keep this, and then we'll be better. See, look, I'm using it tonight. We've won 3-0. The point I'm trying to make is I think Stoke. If you've got Stoke assets, I'd still play them against Spurs. I think.
Really?
I think so. Unless you've got better options. But, you know, Shaqiri, he looks decent to me at the moment.
Okay, so I'm with you. They've hit a bit of form. I would still back Spurs to win that game.
I would probably too, but from a fancy point of view, I think there's still points for Stoke in that.
Okay, all right. I'm with you, potentially. I think if I had a Spurs defender, I'd be quite happy to have a Spurs defender. Stoke defensively don't look good, and I think on that basis, I think you've got a £12.8 million striker in your FPL team. You've got a captain in really at home to Stoke. You kind of have to, don't you? I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. I'm probably going to be doing it, but reluctantly, given Spurs' recent performance, given the downturn in form, given that he tends to blank against the smaller teams at home when Spurs don't have when Spurs see a lot of the ball. They tend not to create because the other team sits back and Kane doesn't produce. But
all right, well let's go to Chelsea then, because presumably your other option for captaincy is either Hazard or Morata.
So the reason I brought Hazard in is because I think he is a captain option most game weeks. But I'm also looking at some of the Liverpool players at home to Everton because I think we are so free scoring at the minute. But let's talk about Chelsea first.
All right, so I think there's obviously a couple of big hitters in Chelsea to consider this week and a couple for the radar, clearly, if you haven't got them. Hazard or Morata, I think if you haven't got them, then it's a worry. It's certainly a worry to me that I don't have Hazard going into this game week.
If you haven't got them both, do you think it's a worry? What do you think about this? Do you need one or two or both?
See, I don't know. I was having this conversation with... I don't know if it was on Instagram or if it was on our YouTube channel. I can't remember now. But with somebody. And they were saying you need Hazard. And I was like, I totally feel that I do. However, the disruption that it's going to cause to get him into my team, the amount of point... I mean, I've got 2 free transfers this week, but I'd still have to take a points hit. I'd have to be... talking about getting rid of Alonso. I don't want to do that. I'd have to be talking about getting rid of probably Firmino or Kane, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So then, it's tough, and so I'm going into that game week, and I think it will be the same as when I watch City and Sané's playing. I'm going to go into it going
hiding behind the sofa.
But there's just as much opportunity in that game for it to be Morata that does something.
Yeah, sure. Morata could have had a number of goals in the last game when I can't remember who they beat at Stamford Bridge, but they remember watching the highlights. Newcastle, that's right. And Hazard was electric, but Hazard was equally. Morata was equally on the end of a lot of that, Hazard magic, Fabregas magic. Could have had a few more goals.
I think so too. So I'm going into it without Hazard. Yes, I am. I'm not comfortable with it. I was reading a stat that says that in his last 8 Premier League fixtures against West Ham, he's been directly involved in 7 goals.
Nice,
so
okay.
He does love a West Ham game.
He scored last season, if I remember rightly.
So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Hazardous.
Hazardless or hazardous?
Hazardless. Both. I'm both. Both hazardless, and I'm feeling quite hazardous about it.
Well, I think Morata as a pick is a kind of a default pick right now because I'm looking at where the value is up top. And all right, I ain't seeing a lot of value in Kane, but clearly if you've got him, you probably stick on him for the next couple. But is he value? Not right now. Is he capable of value? Yes. But outside of that, I think Morata I think he's got to have one of your slots. The City forwards are a bit like, which one do you pick, and whichever one you pick's not going to play. It's a bit of a pep lottery again. Do you go Lacazette for a bit of a cheeky differential? Maybe, because I think Arsenal are on a bit of a resurgence right now, and actually Ramsey looks far more creative. The Ozil, Sanchez, Lacazette triumvirate, if you like, seems to be working quite well for them right now. Is it a bit early for Lacazette? I don't know. I think if you fancy a punt, maybe. But what I'm saying is, so a lot of people have gone Morata because there ain't much else to go for up top. So therefore, a lot of people are maybe just waiting. I don't know what they're kind of waiting for, but kind of just stalling a bit on Hazard because what do I really want? 21, 22 million of my FPL budget in Chelsea? Because if they have an off game and the opposition keeps a clean sheet, then that's a bad FPL week for you.
Well, absolutely, but it's a lot of money to have in a midfielder, particularly if you've got Salah as well. It just feels like, bearing in mind how expensive the forwards are this year, it feels like a lot of money to have.
But are they though? Are the forwards expensive this year? Because we're starting to see this value come through from the bottom.
There's the bottom end, isn't there, that are coming up, the Calvert-Lewin and co. Group of players that offer you some value for your third choice.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, you're still going to be spending 21 million, probably 20-ish million on two forwards, aren't you? Because you're going to have Kane or Morata or Aguero or Jesus or players of that are about the 10-ish mark. Lukaku, 10, 11, 12. Are you not?
Well, I am. I mean, that's my strategy. But I don't think you should assume that a lot of the game are doing that. I mean, there's a lot of people on Twitter talking about, the fact that Hazard and now Sanchez potentially and Ozil and all these guys are starting to kind of make their appearance now. Are we going back to what we've seen in seasons before, whether it's the kind of the power five in midfield? And actually, do you go for cheap up front, and you go Morata, and then you maybe go a super cheapie like your guy from Brighton, Murray, or Nias maybe from Everton, if he's going to be in Sam Allardyce's thinking, or a Calvert-Lewin. And even then, you might even have a bit of money then to go and do a Firmino or a Vardy, one step down from the big guys. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's see.
I think it's a very, very interesting time at the minute in FPL in terms of how people are setting up their teams.
All I think is that Chelsea will... Sorry, knee you.
It's all right. I've got
just
tea
knee
all over
your
my
tea down.
chin,
All I think is that...
Spill it on my shirt. What have you doing?
all I think is that West Ham are terrible at the moment. So they're 8 league matches now without a win. I cannot see that changing against Chelsea. I cannot see that Hazard and Morata won't be scoring goals in that game.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you.
So I think I'll be certainly playing Morata, and I'll be definitely playing Alonso.
And Hazard, I mean, just a quick word on Hazard. I mean, I saw the interview after the Newcastle game. He's buzzing at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
He's all full of energy. He was all smiles. They were asking him about the World Cup and the game England versus Belgium, and he was saying, "Oh, we've got an easy group" or something like that. And of course, it was tongue in cheek. But the fact he's in that press conference joking about and laughing with whoever it was that was with him, Fabregas, I think. That just shows you the mood in the camp at the minute is good.
Yeah.
His mood generally is good. I think he's a very good captain pick if you want to go for him against West Ham. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's... I think, having spoken about Chelsea, there's only... Really, the next place we should go is to talk about the derbies, because they're quite important. So
so we've got a good Sunday's worth of football, haven't we?
We've got 3 games on Sunday. Let's start with Liverpool and Everton, because I think, if we're talking about captain choices, that's probably where your other captain choices come from.
Potentially, yeah.
So the likes of Salah, Coutinho, Firmino, maybe even.
Coutinho, a very popular transfer in this game week.
Well, he's just scored himself a hat-trick in the Champions League tonight. Firmino with another goal tonight. Salah with a goal tonight. Mane with a goal tonight. Have I missed anybody? I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think, from a Liverpool point of view, it's all kind of roses at the moment. It seems to be that way.
Going forward, it certainly seems to be. Yeah, even more so than it has been actually. I think I read something on Twitter just before I was coming on, and I don't know whether it was that reliable a source, but I should know the answer. But in 7 of our last 9 games in all competitions, we've been 3-0 up. And it's not always finished 3-0, of course. We've had a 7-0, we've had a 4-1.
What, since the Spurs game?
Since that Spurs game, something's changed. I don't know what it is.
You got annoyed.
Defensively, we look a bit better. I don't know if that's coincided with Lovren playing fewer games or whatever, but we do look defensively a bit better. And going forward, we seem to have enhanced. It's just gone into this next level where, Coutinho's found his fitness again. And even without Coutinho, you had, Firmino and Mane and Salah, which was dangerous enough. You chuck Coutinho in the mix as well. And even with Lallana coming back, that is frightening. Absolutely frightening. So I think Everton coming to Anfield at the weekend, it's a derby, right? Anything can happen. And on that basis, I may not captain a Liverpool player. But Everton, I don't think they've won a game in their last 6 away. They've won the last 2 home games under Sam.
They're winless in last 17 visits to Anfield as well.
Yeah, it's not a happy hunting ground for them, is it?
No,
so
drawn 8 and lost 9.
Yeah, so do you look at a Salah, or do you bring in Coutinho and maybe captain him, or even Firmino too last week? You've got to be looking at Firmino captain potentially. Maybe not with Kane in your team, but a little bit of you might be thinking Firmino captain.
Well, look, I'm to be honest, I'm thrilled with the Firmino thing because
great differential that'd be, by the way.
Well, he's gone back up in value again now because everyone's got back on him again. He's up and down and up and down and up and down. But I think I'm really pleased to still have him at the moment. He had a great game week last week for me. He scored again tonight, which the only thing that worries me somewhat is he does appear to get rotated every now and then. But I don't think that will happen in a derby. I can't see. I surely go into the derby playing your best players, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think Firmino is as much of a rotation risk as you think. I think even when we had trouble out on the left because I think Mane was suspended, Lallana was still injured, Coutinho was still working his way back. He just put Firmino out left and put Sturridge up top, didn't he?
So he did, yeah.
I don't think he's as much of a risk as you think. Clearly, you want him up top and not out left, right? But
yeah, I think in terms of the radar this week, Firmino. Oh, hello, Harry. Firmino is going to be on the radar this week because I think if you haven't got him, he's an option to look at for now. He's slightly cheaper, like we were talking about before. So if you're looking at upgrading in your midfield and you want a slightly cheaper striker, he's potentially a good option.
Yeah.
Moreno, I think, needs to stay on the radar from last week, given that you keep keeping clean sheets at the moment. So
yeah, I'm looking at him as one of my potential Charlie Daniels replacements, and I wonder whether I'm making that decision a bit with my heart and not with my head, because I haven't had Moreno in my fantasy team this season. I was about to say ever. I think that's the case.
I can't believe you would have ever had Moreno.
I don't think I ever have, but maybe now's the time. I think he's had his rest because Robertson played in the last league game. I actually don't know whether he played tonight against Spartak because I didn't watch the game. I was out, wasn't I? But let's have a look at that. If he was rested tonight, then potentially bring him in for your Charlie Daniels replacement. Although I think there are a lot of other good players in that Charlie Daniels bracket, which we'll come to a bit later on, maybe.
I think in terms of Everton, given that they are, it feels like things are a bit more positive now at Everton. I know that they've not been great this season, but now they've got a new manager, things should start to improve there. So I want to keep Calvert-Lewin on the radar. I also want to put Aaron Lennon on the radar this week because I think he had a really good game last week. I think he's under a new manager now who will shape him and help him, and he's that kind of player that an arm around him and a bit of a
man manager, isn't he, Allardyce? Yeah,
will really
Lennon
help
needs
him.
That, I think.
He does. And actually, what Everton really need is that speed moving forward. So if Lennon can start playing consistently and in the way that he used to in his Spurs days, he could be a fantastic fantasy asset, and he's quite cheap.
Be interesting to see whether Nias comes back into the team after his ban, because to be fair to Calvert-Lewin, he's actually come in and done a pretty good job, hasn't he?
Definitely.
So I don't know whether Sam Allardyce plans to play them together or whether it's one or the other. I genuinely don't know, but I think he'd be a brave man to drop Calvert-Lewin right
I don't
now.
think you can you?
I think he's playing really well, Calvert-Lewin. And you got to, you see a youngster like that come into the fore and really, hit a bit of form. I think you got to back him, right? So, be interested to see how Everton are set up, because I don't fancy bringing in any Everton strikers for the Liverpool game.
No.
But let's have a look at the setup, because after that, I think the Everton fixtures don't look too bad. Newcastle and Swansea, then they're at home to Chelsea, and then West Brom. So 3 of the next 4 after the trip to Anfield don't look too bad for Everton.
All right, well, let's keep them on the radar. I'm watching brief for them.
Okay.
Let's move on to the second derby of Sunday then. So United and City, big day up in Manchester.
What a game! Do you think United can? Do you think they can beat them? Do you think this is where City finally lose?
No.
Do you not think?
No. I think it will be a draw.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think
it's a really intriguing game.
But can you see Jose losing this game? No, he won't want to lose this game.
No, but I also think City are in a bit of a... They're not quite as fluid as they have been in recent times. I mean, they were turning up and smashing teams 3-4, 5-0, and it was so fluid and open, and they were a joy to watch. Last couple of games, they've won, So you can't take it away from them. They've won games. But it's been kind of, 2-1, or they've had a last-minute winner, 85th minute winner or something, and they've been grinding out a couple of results. Now, don't get me wrong, that is the former champions. Even when you're not playing well, you win games, and that's why I think they'll win the league this year. But do I see them going to Old Trafford? Because I think it's Old Trafford, right?
It is Old Trafford, yeah.
Can they go to Old Trafford and win 3-4-5-0? No. I don't think so.
I don't think they can do that. Having said that, they are the team that scored the most Premier League goals at Old Trafford. They've scored 27, yeah. Only Chelsea are level with them. So any goals that they score, they'll be the most highest scoring team to go to Old Trafford in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Can think of a better way to phrase that then. So there's potential there, and they have history for scoring goals there. It's a history of being a good derby.
Yeah.
Should be goals in it. I don't see City winning. I don't see United winning either. I think it will be a draw.
I think both teams would be reasonably happy with that as well, don't you?
Yes, I do too. And what I think will be interesting, less so from a United point of view, but from a City point of view, again, we have to have the conversation about who's going to play. If we look at the team that started tonight, we had no Aguero, we had no Sterling, we had no Otamendi.
Did have Sané and Jesus
we
both
did
played,
have
right?
Sané and Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, so you've got Jesus. Does that mean that you're worried for Sunday?
It does, yeah, it does. And actually, longer term, we're getting into this busy Christmas period. I'm thinking about getting out of City altogether. I've just had enough of it. It's a nonsense, and that's going to hurt. There will be a game where they smash somebody 4-5-0, and there's fantasy points galore, and I've not got anything. That will happen, I'm sure. And I'm sure when I get Kane out, the same thing will happen. But I'm looking at it, and I just, you don't want these rotation risks throughout Christmas.
No.
And at the minute, Jesus and Aguero are just in and out of the team like the hokey cokey. So I don't think I want Jesus anymore. So to that end, I think he will be one of my downgrades this game week. Possibly, yeah.
Well, because you don't want him at the best of times, surely, if he's a rotation risk. Goodness sake, what is wrong with me tonight? I put my teeth in it.
It's late, isn't it? We're filming this quite late.
Let alone in a derby game, surely.
No, I don't. Well, quite right. I mean, I think United have proved that they can keep any side out, right? And it's a big acid test for them. I think Phil Jones is back, by the way. He was a bit in training, didn't play tonight.
Still don't think I'll play him.
Training. Well, yeah, quite. Do you play him? But if he's back, I think that's a boost for Man United defensively.
Yeah.
Can they keep City out? It's the acid test, isn't it? It's probably the best defence in the league versus arguably the best forward line, probably between City and us, right? So. And
then Silva. He's
a doubt, isn't he? He's a doubt, yeah.
So Pepper said he's not sure that he won't even comment on what is wrong with him. He's just said he's got a slight niggle, but he's been left in Manchester, didn't travel with the squad.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking, okay, well, is now my opportunity to do Silva and do with what I was planning originally, which was to get Ramsey.
Okay, all right. And actually, I think that's a nice segue into the Arsenal game. Do you want to go there?
Because, let's go there, because that's the other Sunday game as well. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, I'm looking at some of the Arsenal players, and they've shown a real upturn in form recently.
Absolutely.
And if you look at some of the stats behind Ramsey in particular...
you even text me, didn't you, to be like, maybe you're not mad.
Yeah, well, there was some good stuff on Final Fantasy Scout, if you remember, on there earlier in the week. Have a look at the Big Numbers article. There's some really good stuff on there about Ramsey and his increase in creativity, his increase in threat, because he's not just being more creative and doing key passes and pass completion, but his goal threat's also increasing.
Right.
So actually, he's on the they have a table on FF Scout called Goals Imminent, and he's on there. So, is there not just assists but goals coming for Ramsey? And Arsenal in general do look a lot better. They got the whole Ozil, Sanchez, Lacazette thing. They seem to have figured that out. They seem to be playing well. Defensively, they look a lot better, although I think Mustafi is now injured, and I think he's injured for this weekend, so he may not play. But generally speaking, they do look a lot better. Kolasinac getting in far more dangerous positions now. I mean, I'm thinking of investing.
I'm seriously thinking about... I've been talking about Ramsey for weeks now, and I would really like him. With the news that Silva potentially might not play, I think this is my opportunity to get Ramsey in.
Okay. And a couple of million, right?
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do as one of my transfers this week. It's going to be a change from Silva to Ramsey, because when I think about it, I know that Silva had a good game week last week, but he's an injury risk this week. He may not play. Even if he does play, it's a derby game. He's not going to get a hatful, is he? I wouldn't have thought anyway. And he's been playing that slightly deeper position where he's been sort of assisting assists and that sort of thing, which is frustrating from a fantasy manager point of view. So I think now might be the opportunity to do that. So Ramsey's certainly one for the radar this week.
Absolutely should be. Kolasinac as well, I think, given what I've seen from him the last couple of weeks.
He can go on the radar this week.
Do you fancy Lacazette yet? Do you think he's
Southampton fans, I'm really sorry to say this, but I actually fancy anybody against Southampton at the moment. Not in terms of, I don't think Southampton will. No. I don't necessarily mean that I think Southampton will lose the game, although I actually do think Arsenal will win the game.
2 wins in their last 3 at home.
I just think Southampton are a little bit. They have the potential to be leaky at the back, and with Arsenal playing the way that they are, I can't see that they'll keep them out.
Okay. I think Lacazette could be one of those players, and this is why I'm considering him, because I'll do probably Jesus out, and I'll do one or two things. I'll either downgrade and then I'm sorry to say it, probably have a look at Ramsey for Carroll.
You can't have Ramsey. You can't.
Or I shall be looking at a straight swap, Jesus to Lacazette, and just have a bit of a punt on Lacazette.
Certainly could pay off.
I'm kind of, happy that I got on Hazard early last week, and I wonder whether getting early on Lacazette is the right thing to do. Now, I do think we need to see a bit more of him, but as a team, Arsenal look a lot better. Okay. And if you look at the fixtures going forward, Southampton away, then West Ham away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, Crystal Palace away. So the fixtures look pretty good for Arsenal.
All right, well let's stick Lacazette on the radar as well for this week then.
Maybe on the outskirts.
Okay. Right, let's move back to Saturday then.
A very quick word for Austin at Southampton. So if we keep talking about this potential value third striker we're looking at. Is Austin on the radar, or is he somebody you're thinking about in terms of your budget striker? How do you see him?
I suppose so. I mean, he's not somebody that I've been considering getting in my team. I just feel that there's better options out there for that price money than Austin, unless he suddenly starts being a bit more consistent.
Yeah, I think he's one to watch. Let's stick him on the radar. The Southampton fixtures include Arsenal, Leicester, Chelsea, Huddersfield, Spurs, so it doesn't look that great fixture-wise.
Yeah.
So maybe radar periphery for Austin for now. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Newcastle next. It's a Saturday night game.
Okay.
Newcastle versus Leicester. I think there's a few to go on the radar there, mostly from Leicester. But the likes of Mahrez, Maguire, and Gray, I think they're not the standard issue Leicester players for your team. A lot of people, if you've got a Leicester player, it's probably Vardy, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But
I like Maguire. Maguire looks attacking, right, on some set pieces, so I like him as an option.
I think he could be a really good option, particularly if you're looking for replacements that as we've been talking about. So I think for me, Leicester probably will win that game. They should win that game.
They're not great away from home.
They're not great away from home.
They're better at the King Power.
Right. Which is why, actually, I think that is it time to start looking at Newcastle players again? Because
really?
Leicester aren't looking great. Newcastle's fixtures are taking a bit of a turn for the better.
You're joking, aren't you? Look, Leicester, Everton, Arsenal, West Ham, Man City.
But so forget the big teams, forget Arsenal and Man City. But actually, Leicester and Everton and West Ham. Yeah, well, nobody's going to beat Man City, are they?
Okay.
But if you take Leicester, Everton, and West Ham, there's potential in there. Now, Newcastle players aren't expensive. So if you're looking for a cheap old third striker or a cheap midfielder, Matt Ritchie potentially, is he coming back into it as an option?
God, blimey, you're going to stick him on the radar, man.
Is he coming back in as an option? I don't know. I'm
not seeing anybody on the Twitter community talking much about Newcastle. The only thing to talk about Newcastle, from my perspective, is that Mbemba seems to be playing again. So all of a sudden, we've got our 4.0 option back, and I'm more than happy that I've now got a playing 4.0 in my team. I don't know. I don't think they're in great form. All I'm saying is
they're not in great form, but Leicester aren't great away from home. Maybe there's options there.
It's an intriguing game because Newcastle's general form is bad. I don't think they've won in their last 6, and I think they've lost 5 of that 6. Leicester are pretty poor away from home, so I'm not looking at that game thinking that's full of FPL goodness. I'm thinking that's just an interesting one to watch.
Just something to
maybe
think about.
an eye on Maguire.
I'm just I think for the radar there's a few to watch. For me, when I'm watching that game or listening to that game, I'll be watching it because it's the afternoon, the evening game. So when I'm watching it, there's a lot of players there to think about, I think. Okay.
All right, fair enough.
All right, other fixtures then. Oh, let's talk about Watford. We go to Burnley. Burnley and Watford. Now, this could be a really interesting game, I think.
Is it at Burnley or at Watford?
It's at Burnley.
At Burnley.
So Burnley
Tricky for Watford.
Yeah, they've only conceded 3 goals at home so far this season. But Watford look good going forward.
And away.
And away from home.
They are better, yeah. Richarlison in particular seems to play better away from home.
Right, so involved in 7 goals.
Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder. You've got it all written down there. I didn't know that you've got it written down.
So Richarlison's been involved in 7 goals in Watford's 7 Premier League matches so far this season. Yeah. So this could be a really interesting fixture, I think. For me, I don't think I'm going to play my Burnley defender this week.
That's a tricky one. I think I might be, simply because I don't really have many other options. I don't fancy Phil Jones against City, and I don't know. I think Daniels has got to go to Palace, hasn't he? Which is not great. So I probably will be playing Ben Mee. I'm with you though. I think Watford do look good, and actually defensively, they don't look too bad either. Now Burnley, I know they're at home, but they're not exactly blessed with a lot of goal scoring talent, and I quite like Chris Wood. The creativity is going to take a hit because poor old Robbie Brady has done whatever he's done. It looks pretty serious, so he's out for a bit. So I'm not backing Burnley to go goal crazy anywhere, home or away. But then I look at some of the Watford defensive assets, and I look at like Kiko Firmina and Ziegler. I think both of those guys should be on the radar at the very least. I think Ziegler is like an uber cheapie. He's like 4.3.
He's really cheap, yeah.
And maybe a bit of a rotation risk with Holebas, maybe. But Kiko Firmino, I think, is pretty much nailed on for about 0.2, 0.3 more. So I like both of those players. And if you're going to invest in Watford at the back, it's not a bad thing. They go to Burnley, then they go to Palace, Huddersfield at home, Brighton away, Leicester at home. There's nothing in there that's really scaring me. No. If I've got a Watford defender, I'm pretty happy with that, I think.
I think so.
And I'm keeping Richarlison on that basis as well.
100% keeping Richarlison. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next game? Any more?
Palace versus Bournemouth.
Okay.
Now, one I want to put on the radar this week is Sacco at Palace.
Really?
Yeah, so he's only 4.9, so he's cheap as chips. He's got 28 points out of their last 6 games, Fantasy League points, that is. So that's actually decent returns from a cheap.
He did get that last minute goal, I suppose, didn't he? Yeah. And it kind of just fell to him nicely, a bit out of the blue. But yeah, okay.
I think, change of momentum at Palace.
Benteke back, is that making a difference? Time will tell, I think.
We'll find out, but I want to put Saka on the radar this week, Okay. Plus Bournemouth, they've only scored twice in their last 8 visits to London, so I can't see them, I can see Palace winning that game. Okay. So Sacco's on the radar for me from there.
The FPL assets at Bournemouth, I think if you've got Callum Wilson, I think you probably stick, don't you?
Yeah, I would stick if I had Callum Wilson. I don't really know what to do about Charlie Daniels. I'm still umming and ahhing about him because the fixtures aren't looking great. The
fixtures take a real turn for the worse for Bournemouth after this game, yeah.
So I am thinking about doing, because I've got 2 transfers to do this week, I am thinking about whether I deal with Charlie Daniels or whether I deal with Elliott if I'm doing the silver swap.
Okay.
We've got to deal with one of them, I'm not sure which one yet. I think if I do the Charlie Daniels one, it probably will be to a Watford defender. Okay,
yeah, I think Charlie Daniels for me, if I've got a bit of money, if I can dig some money out of somewhere, which is unlikely, depending on how much I've got left from the Jesus thing, I really like the look of Otamendi. I think it's hurting me not having him. I also like Mustafi from Arsenal, although he's injured. I really like Kolasinac, but he's probably a bit out of my price bracket. So then I'm going down into the sort of Morenos and the Kiko Firminas, and I say down to, but actually, Liverpool don't look too bad defensively, and Moreno could be a good option. Kiko Firmino, I think, is with Watford's fixtures up against the sort of teams that we've just mentioned there, the Burnleys and the Huddersfields and the Brightons, they're not blessed with goals. Those guys, not blessed at all with goals. So, Kiko Firmino, or if you want to go uber cheapy and just take a small risk of rotation with Holebas. Ziegler looks incredibly attacking as well and could get you points at both ends of the pitch. So keep those on the radar, yeah. Right,
Huddersfield and Brighton. I don't want to talk very long about this game, but I do want to put Anthony Knockaert back on the radar this week.
You love Anthony Knockaert. What is it about Anthony Knockaert?
I don't know what it is about him, but I do want to
know he's a good-looking guy, but come on.
Okay.
Is he on the radar again, Knockaert?
He's on the radar this week.
He might actually do something one week.
Yeah, this week is the week. So he's been involved in 8 goals in the previous 7 games they played against Huddersfield.
What's that?
He does like playing Huddersfield.
Okay.
So he's going on the radar this week. That's all I really want to say about that game. Is that I think if
What about your man Glenn Murray? So I keep going back to this topic, this theme of a cheapish third striker that's going to enable some of the Hazards and the Sanchez's for FPL managers out there.
I think there's goals in that game for him, definitely.
Well, I like him. I like Glenn Murray. He's on penalties, as we saw against Liverpool last week. I like him. He's 5 point something. He looks reasonably nailed on. Had a fantastic scoring record in the Championship last year. I can't see that he's going to be rotated that much, which is what you want. Yeah. We've said that before 100 times. You want somebody nailed on throughout this Christmas period. So let's just have a look at Brighton's fixtures going forward. Where are they? Huddersfield. Ooh, Spurs away, but then at home to Burnley and Watford, and then Chelsea away. So a couple of very tricky away games. But Burnley and Watford at home don't look too bad. So I kind of like him. Murray on the radar. I think he's been there before, so maybe stick him on again.
You can go with not cut on the radar.
All right, okay.
All right, final game then. Leave the best till last. Swansea versus West Brom. Come on, Rondon. Rondon.
Hashtag Team Rondon.
Hashtag
needs to score, doesn't he?
Rondon on the radar this week.
No.
Yeah, 4 goals in the last 3 games in the Premier League against Swansea.
Should he have his own radar? Should have the own Rondon radar?
He's going right in the middle of the radar this week. Slap bang in the middle. Big Rondon face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Rondon on the radar this week.
Should we put Neom on there just for the who got the assist boys?
No.
No, definitely not.
Cast him out.
Definitely not. Neom out.
And just to be controversial, because I've been looking at new keepers for...
So I like you to be controversial.
I know.
Go on.
Just to be controversial, because I'm looking at a new keeper because of the Elliott issue I've got, because he's not playing.
Yeah.
I've looked at getting Fabianski from Swansea.
Nothing wrong with Fabianski, absolutely.
Do you know he's made more saves than any other keeper in the Premier League this season? He's made 61 saves, which has meant he's earned 15 Fantasy League points from saves this season, which is more than any other keeper. And he's cheap. He's not going to cost me much more than having Elliott. Guaranteed to play, unlike Elliott.
Potentially it's a bit of a rotation risk now. Yeah,
he's
maybe.
He's not played for the last 2 or 3 matches now. I think Elliott's not played, so I don't.
But let's not forget Swansea are rock bottom of the league. They are bad.
But then Newcastle aren't keeping clean sheets either. But the difference between Elliott and Fabianski, well, Fabianski, if he's going to keep making lots of saves, then you're going to get points that way out of him. So I don't know. We'll see. It's all about money, isn't it?
It is. It's an important clash. This one. We shouldn't write it off as just because it's the last one we're looking at. I think Swansea's fortunes this season, and actually Clement's job, I think he's putting a lot of chips on Wilfred Bonney. I mean, we've seen Bonney come back last week with a goal. Good strike it was too. That's going to make the difference. They need goals from somewhere, and if they can get Bonney fit and firing and on all cylinders, then they've got a chance, Swansea. But until they do that, it's looking bleak for them. West Brom, I'm kind of interested to see what happens. The Pardew effect, I think has kicked in a bit. They looked slightly less defensive in the last couple of games, which is not saying much because they looked ultra defensive before Pardew come along. So they just look slightly less defensive now.
Yeah.
But with Rondon scored. Difficult for me to agree with you putting him on the radar, but let's stick him on. We've got to back him, and we've got to back our boy, Team Rondon.
Back him.
So I'm very much keeping a watching brief on West Brom. I want to see this Pardew effect coming into play.
It's not going to like my Jammy Pick very much in a minute.
Well, go on then. So we've done the game. So let's go to that. Go on, Jammy Pick. You are not having Rondon.
It's not Rondon. It's another West Brom player.
Okay. Another West Brom player.
Well, so I looked at a few options for Jammy Picks this week. One of which you've already laughed at was Richie up at Newcastle. I had to think about him.
Blimey, that's outrageous.
This week. Then I thought about Watford because I really fancy Watford over the next few weeks. I'm not sure that I necessarily fancy them in this game because obviously they've got to go to Burnley, which is why I've not gone for. I was going to go for Gray at Watford as my out there pick from Watford, but I think that might come a bit later after the Burnley game, where they'll probably score a goal in this game, and then I can't have him. But my Jammy pick for this week is going to be Sam Field at West Brom.
He's making a difference there, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's making a difference.
He's owned by 0.2% of the game, so I think this is my jammiest of jammy picks.
This is proper jammy. Is he getting in the sort of areas where he's going to get FPL points? We're saying he's had a good influence on West Brom, but is he an FPL asset?
He has scored for them once this season, which nearly made me not have him. But he's only 19. He played both games under Megson when he was caretaker there. Pardew did come out and say something about how Krachowiak, that's the other guy, isn't it?
That's a great name. Have you got that right?
Yeah, I think so. Krachowiak. Yeah,
okay, nice.
That's the guy that normally plays there.
I'd really struggle with that, by the way.
Well, I've written it down phonetically.
You actually have. Brilliant. That's brilliant.
So
excellent vlog preparation, by the way. Very good.
Well, I can't talk about my Jammy Pick without knowing who he's. So there is a little bit of rotation risk there, because Pardew did say that Kutroviak he's an international player, has played at World Cups, blah blah blah. Sandfield 19, just coming through into the ranks.
Okay.
But I think he's a good option. He's played 90 minutes for the last 3 games. Yeah.
All right, we'll go with
Against Swansea. Maybe.
We'll go with that. Top points pick. I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve, and the heart's going to rule the head. And I'm going to go to Anfield, and I'm going to say we're going to play really well and score some goals in the derby. It's tricky, isn't it? Because we seem to be sharing out the points. We seem to be scoring for fun. So top points pick I think has got to come from Liverpool, given that Everton's away form as well looks bad. And I kind of looked at Everton's fixtures when Sam Allardyce came in, and they had 2 nice fixtures, which they've won. And after the Liverpool game, they've got 2 more, if I remember right. Yeah, Newcastle and Swansea. So if I'm Allardyce, I'm probably looking at that set of 5 games and going, I want to win. I want to get a certain amount of points. I want to win 4 of those 5, and knowing I'm probably not going to win the Liverpool game, which is obviously not the right mentality. It's a derby. Of course they can win it. Anything can happen in a derby. But if I'm Allardyce and I'm being realistic, probably not expecting to win this game. So I don't know what sort of mentality they're going to come to Anfield with.
So
I'm going to go Salah. I've got to go Salah,
okay.
Right? I mean, he scored again tonight. It would be the obvious choice to go for Coutinho because, he scored 3 tonight, 2 the other night, so he's bang on form, and it easily could be Coutinho. But I just think, Salah is really dangerous. Tonight, they were kind of looking to get him on the score sheet, weren't they? They were looking to do it.
Why are you not going to captain him then?
Well, quite, and I might. And this is the question of the FPL. This is why we love FPL, right? It's why we love FPL. So you're captaining Kane?
I'm captaining Kane this week.
And so for me, again, I'm between Kane, I'm between Salah, and I'm between Hazard. And part of me really wants to go Hazard because again, he's the biggest differential of the 3.
Oh, you.
I think with Salah, it's like
I'm not sure he is that big a differential anymore.
What, Salah?
No,
he's definitely not.
Hazard.
But Hazard.
He's got like 19%, 16% or something now.
Okay, so he's getting there. But so with Salah, if you want Salah to be a differential, you have to captain him. Because if you've just got him and you've not captained him, everyone has.
Like
so
half
it's a bit
teams, isn't it?
Half bit meh, isn't it? But then it's Kane versus Stoke, and if it was Kane versus Burnley at home or Kane versus West Brom, I'd maybe say no. But Stoke are bad defensively; they are really bad. Kane said something over the last 4 or 5 game weeks. He said something like, the most amount of shots on goal. Stoke they've conceded the most amount of shots in the box, and just statistics like that. Your whole team's had a rest against Applewell. I'm probably going to bottle it and captain Kane. I'm probably going to do that. But a really big piece of me wants to captain either Salah or Hazard. But I'm undecided. Undecided.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. So top points pick. Did I say any top points pick?
You said Salah.
Salah, top points pick. Captain for me, undecided. Probably bottle it and go Kane. You're going to go Kane. Who's your Jammy pick?
Jammy pick is Sandfield at West Brom.
Sandfield at West Brom. Nice.
Kane.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's it, folks. I think. Thank you for joining in once again. Continue to follow us at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram. Leave your comments and hit that subscribe button. Tell us who your captain is going to be for this game week. Tell us who your Jammy pick is. If you can come up with somebody better than Sam Field at 0.2% ownership, that is proper outrageous. Until next time, we will see you on the next vlog, which is going to be Sunday, when we react to the derbies, which is going to be an awesome Sunday's viewing of football, I think.
Fingers crossed.
Good stuff. See you then, guys. Cheers for tuning in.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.